So, lads, the Fever GM, Amber, I'm scared about saying her surname, went on to a podcast and talked about why they did not protect Temi, who I'm also scared of saying her surname, in the expansion draft. Why I'm scared of saying their surnames? The last time I said Temi's surname, I got demonetized because of the first 3 letters in her surname. Either way, let's go and listen. She was on a podcast talking about not protecting Temi.
I think the entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Temi Fagbenle became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs, but also her ability to run the floor with Caitlin Clark and how their games complemented each other. Um, when we think about, that expansion draft, what was the thought process
Oh my god, I clicked the wrong thing. My fault.
of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs, but also her ability to run the floor with Caitlin Clark and draft? What was the thought process in making her available?
It's really part of an overall plan, which hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the off season. The expansion draft is difficult. It's hard to lose a player. 6 is not very many when you think about protecting protecting anybody on your roster. And this group obviously built great camaraderie the second half of the season. So that was not an easy decision, but again, part of a bigger plan that I hope everyone will get to see unfold as we get into the rest of the offseason.
So that one is huge. It's absolutely huge. Does she have me blocked? I would assume she probably has me blocked. Oh, I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised. I have no idea who she is. But their plan should have included Temi even for bench depth. They can't afford to pay her bench depth. Like, what people don't understand is that if they wanted Temi Fagbenle, they can still have Temi Fagbenle. Like, she's a restricted free agent. Let's just say, hypothetically, their max they're willing to pay Temi is 120k a year. They could still bid 120k for Temi for Temi. And we could then see her back with Indiana. And if Golden State want to pay her above 120k, Golden State could have had her anyway. Like, what people don't realize is that Indiana could have protected Temi, and Golden State, if let's say Golden State want to offer her 180k a year for a 1 year, Golden State could have bid 180k and had Temi and somebody else. So that's the reality of the situation. Is that no matter what happened, they were screwed. Like, they could have lost Temi anyway. I hear like the future should have included Temi. They can't afford Temi. They genuinely can't. I think Temi is going to be on a 180k a year contract, and the only realistically, the only way that they could have kept her is if they could somehow get off Katie Lou's contract, which is not happening. They're not getting off the Katie Lou Samuelson contract. Like, Katie Lou Samuelson going into Unrivaled was a shock, but like there's a 0% chance they're able to get themselves off the Katie Lou Samuelson contract. But yeah, so I think their plan is they have a power forward lined up. They're like, it's about our plan. We'll see you later on in the offseason. And wondering for their plan, I'm just trying to think of who potentially could be in their plans. Like, obviously, Satu Sabali is a potential player who you can get via some sort of trade, via sign and trade. They're going to keep Kelsey Mitchell, which means they're not going to include Kelsey Mitchell in a Satu trade. But if you're looking at free agents this year, the only free agents that I'm like, yes, Natasha Howard's an upgrade over Nilla Smith for 1 year. I wouldn't mind. If you're stuck, Natasha Howard's not a bad player to pick up. But I really don't want to see them pick up like a Hines Allen. If they don't get Satu, it's going to be really tough. A lot of people, like, not a lot of people are saying, some people are genuinely saying that, like, Bonner could be retired and it could be like a one last hurrah for Alyssa Thomas. But I do think if she leaves, Bonner's going to play 1 more year. And I would say more than likely, if Bonner plays another year and Alyssa Thomas, if they leave Connecticut, it'll be to go to Phoenix. I think DeWanna Bonner will play she'll play almost on a vet minimum contract, just play one more year and then pack it in. But at the same time, maybe she wants to win another ring, because like DeWanna Bonner she's won a couple, hasn't she? But Alyssa Thomas hasn't. So maybe they're thinking, we've got one more, or if you're Bonner, we've got one more year left. But Alyssa Thomas also isn't a free agent. She's going to be court. So, yeah, that is the reality of that situation. But other players that could potentially be interesting are, again, the likes of... For me, I think Michaela Onyenwere could be very interesting playing as a small ball 4. I think Monique Billings could be very interesting if Golden State don't pick her up. Like, Golden State literally have to give Monique Billings a supermax. Otherwise, she's not on the team. That's what we don't realize. Like, if they refuse to give Monique Billings a supermax, she won't be playing. Like, Monique Billings is still an interesting option. And I'm looking. Like, Chechi Zandalasini is a restricted free agent. I'm a fan of Zandalasini. There's no way Elena Delalong goes to the Fever. And a lot of people, again, are saying, just from this free agent, if you're looking at trades for potential power forwards, Diarca Hamby could be there on the trade market, especially if you're going to be drafting Kiki Iriafen. Azare's not really worth it. John Quell's not going to be available. I'm like scrolling through like what players are actually going to be available at the forward position. See, if you're looking at that power forward position, there's not that many of them that are like unrestricted free agent, that are just in the league in general. Like, they're not going to be able to get Alana Smith back. They're not going to be able to get like Kayla Thornton's going to be 100% there with Golden State, but there's just not a lot of players in the W. And there's not a lot of players that fit what the Fever need. Like, players that fit what the Fever need. Leonie Fibic. You're not going to get Leonie Fibic. Even though, yeah, she's a 2-guard, she can also guard power forwards and shoot the 3 ball. Like, she can be that stretch 4, stretch wing. I'm looking here and I'm like, are there any players not named Satu Sabali that fit what the Fever need in that 4 position? I would think I really like Dorka Juhas, but like, she's not going to be available. I don't really like Maddie Siegrist, but I think she's better than Damaris Dantas, I guess. But like, of players that you would say fit what the Fever need, Hamby maybe. Those players don't really exist via trade or via free agency. Like, it is Satu or like it could well be Satu or bust. But at least they let Temi go because of a plan. They let Temi go because of a plan. And I have a feeling that the Golden State Valkyries would have taken Temi anyway. And by taking Temi, I'm not joking when I say this. I think they could have, if the Fever protected Temi, the Golden State Valkyries could have literally just said, you know what, we want to pay Temi $170 a year because she'll sell jerseys, she'll work hard, she'll run up and down hard, and she's a good vet. We want to do that. So you're not going to match 180. We're going to take her anyway. So yeah, either way, I don't think it would have made that. It makes that much of a difference for the Indiana Fever. See you guys.